you have the intent to file. There's no reason to submit that claim until it's ready. And I like how you brought up fully developed, because that's the goal. The goal is to submit fully developed claims. And fully developed claim has evidence from service, has the current diagnosis, and then it has the nexus. That's the goal. At a minimum, what veterans should at least submit is, I call it an evidence-based claim, which is like one step below a fully developed. You at least need to have evidence from service and at least a current diagnosis. If you're submitting your claim and there's still time on your intent to file and you don't have those two, shame on you. I'm going to say it. Shame on you. Okay. Now, is it the end of the world? No, it's not. But that haste thing really comes to mind after we've already, prepared the claim, then went ahead and to submit that claim. Jason, do you have any discussions on mistakes when it comes to actually submitting that claim?
Okay. So I am in your world as far, and look, I'm a little bit biased because I was a VSO, right? So, but here's the thing. There's the reality. The VSOs are, and I guess this could be a mistake, right? Going to a VSO, Veteran Service Office, or Veteran Service Representative, an accredited rep, whatever you want to call it, right? Somebody who is accredited with the VA. Typically, it's going to be a county employee or it's going to be a state employee. But there's also the veteran service organizations like VFW and so forth, American Legion, DAV, that have accredited reps as well. I'm going to focus in on the government paid representative for you, which is going to be your county or state employees, right? So often, it's not everywhere, right? Geographically, whatever, but often these offices are underpaid. Therefore, they're understaffed. Therefore, they cannot be very proactive. Therefore, what happens to you as the veteran, sadly, is, look, we're going to set up an appointment for you. It is whatever, a month and a half from now. Okay. You're already irritated about that. Okay. So fine. You have your appointment a month and a half from now. In the meantime, you should file your intent to file yourself. It's one page, super easy. You can actually just call the VA and tell them, I'm veteran so-and-so, and I'd like to file an intent to file. And then they will. That way, you're not wasting any time while you're waiting for your appointment. Okay. So that's one mistake. Fixed, by the way, because we fixed it right now.
Yeah.
All right. Number two is remember what I said about them being overworked, understaffed. They can't be proactive. They're being more reactive. Think of them more as an order taker. They're going to look at whatever you want to do. Now, granted, again, there's always exceptions to the rules, right? There are some great folks out there that go the extra mile. My office was one of those where we really tried to do that. But there's a lot that aren't. Now, if you're viewing it as an order taker, I'm bringing you exactly what I want to do. This is what I want to do. I just want to make sure it's done right and get it submitted so you can have eyes on it too. If you're looking at it through that mindset, you need to go back through and make sure that you're finding every condition that you want to file for, that you can potentially get service connected. And I say potentially because some of them might be on the fence, but hey, the answer is always no if you don't ask. So if you're like, hey, I might be able to get this service connected, you should probably just file for that because it's better than not. And then 10 years later you do, and then you get awarded and you're like, I wish I would have done it 10 years ago, right? So if you have a potential of getting something service connected, you should probably file for that. Build up all the evidence, all that good stuff, put it all together the best you can. A lot of times we're going to be missing nexus, so you got to manufacture the nexus evidence by way of nexus letters from your doctor and buddy statements, all that good stuff. So those are often things that get missed as you go to an accredited rep because you're not viewing it as an order taker. So I'm just doubling down on what you said, Clay. Mm-hmm. Do it yourself. You have pretty much all the tools you need right here on YouTube between this channel, Clay's channel, my channel, other people's channels. There's a lot of good information to get your mind going and get you down the right track. Now it's up to you to pull that all together and then carry that box full of paperwork down to the VSO's office that month and a half later and go, here's everything that I want to file with my secondary conditions to these ones and my secondary to this and whatever, right? So I would say that the biggest mistake with filing the claim is with a VSO is not preparing fully yourself as though you were going to file it yourself. So you're going to miss those opportunities, because otherwise you're going to walk in and you're going to say, I want to file for my migraines and my back, period. You go in, they're going to file for your migraines and your back. Meanwhile, you miss down on arthritis, you miss down on radiculopathy, you miss down on whatever, right? So you want to make sure that you're absolutely investigating yourself for everything that you could potentially get service connected. The other thing would be, maybe you're not submitting on the right form, right? I mean, look, unless you're doing it online, right? Online, it's going to automatically pick the right forms for you. So for example, if you're filing for an increase, that would be a supplemental claim. Supplementals aren't just for, I disagree with you on this current decision. It could be 10 years later, I'm filing for an increase on a previous condition. You're still going to want to use a supplemental because it's working an existing condition. So you could be filing on a wrong form. I mean, you could find the wrong form online, even if it is the right form. It could be a dated form if you're not getting it directly from the VA. If you're trying to do it the OG style, like you said, and mail it in, right? So it's always good, and it circles back to what you said, Clay, is having that second set of eyes by an accredited rep is a good thing. Hey, this is the wrong form, or hey, you forgot to sign here. Missing signatures, that's another one. People sign in the wrong spot, right? They sign in a wrong spot. They don't sign at all. A family member's trying to help them, and they miss the witness's signature spot. There's supposed to be two, only one sign. So there's all kind, and especially when you start getting into the more complex claims like pensions and that type of stuff. So I'm starting to go wild now. So I'm going to kick it back to you, Clay, so you can bring me back down a notch or two.
Yeah. So on the form things, there's really two mistakes I see on the forms. It's one for secondaries. Let's say you're denied migraines, and then you go to Facebook or YouTube and you're like, ooh, I want to go migraines secondary to tinnitus. So you submit a secondary claim online. You go to va.gov, you do your migraine secondary, and all of a sudden it's closed in like 6 days. You're like, what the heck? They didn't even give me a CMP exam. And it's like, well, that's because it was a supplemental claim, but you didn't know that because what you did is you saw something at face value, but you didn't take the legwork to say, oh, I was denied, which forces it to be a supplemental claim. That's probably the number one mistake I see on the wrong form. The number two mistake is it all goes back to haste. It's all about speed. We want it now. And I understand that. I'm a millennial, right? My generation is the definition of instant gratification. I understand this. I'm drinking Starbucks. Okay. I'm a millennial.
And I made mine.
Yeah. And the other mistake I see is, all right, well, you'll get a denial immediately online. You'll hit, I disagree with this, and you're doing HLR. Well, a month or two goes by, you haven't heard anything. You're getting information from YouTube or Facebook or Reddit or whatever it is you get your information from. You get frustrated because we want it now, and then you submit a supplemental claim. Well, guess what? That claim is going to be closed in about 5 to 6 days. Do you know why? Because when an HLR is happening, when it's in progress, there is no doing anything else. You have to wait for the HLR to close. And those are small nuanced things that no one's going to know unless you watch this, because we're informed and educated, but you're not going to know that. And there are millions of little nuanced things, and that's just going to delay your claim longer, and it's going to make you frustrated, which is going to make you want more instant gratification. And then you can see there's just this cycle, and then all of a sudden, you're going on TikTok talking about how the VA sucks this and VA sucks that. And I get it, right? But it all comes down to submitting the right form. It's one of those things that we don't think about because it's easy. But by not submitting the right form, you're just going to delay until you're so frustrated that you get the current culture of veterans and VA disability claims as we have it right now.